of a sudden, hey, you're rushing me. You said no rush 15 minutes.
Yeah, they've definitely got to be on their toes. The cool thing about winning a game immediately after a cheese is now that your opponents know you're capable of that, which I hope they would have known already based on the previous games, you don't really know what you want to do. You don't want to know if you want to play it safe, go for maybe an earlier gateway, pull a couple extra probes to do some scouting everywhere because there's so many proxy locations on 2v2 maps. I don't know, man. They're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, exactly. So Team FXO spawning in the northern positions with Obsidian, of course, who is actually Inori as the blue Protoss, and then FXO Frequency, which is, of course, actually Gumiho as the red Terran, and then, of course, Suns in the south with SeleCT as the purple Terran, and FXO OpTiKzErO as the pink Protoss. And no early probes, no proxy pylons, so just looking like we're gearing up for a more standard game here.
Yep, OpTiKzErO sending out that early probe scout, normal timing for a 2 versus 2, going to make sure their opponents aren't doing anything tricky, because if you've got 2 people proxying or 2 people doing some kind of crazy rush, it's going to be very dangerous. It's twice as effective against 2 people who aren't being prepared for a rush, obviously, good at math. And there's the normal gateway from Obsidian, and no halt of worker production. We're seeing 2 probes and 2 SCVs coming out, so looks like we might get a standard game this time around.
Yeah, indeed, looking like that. Gateways going down, barracks going down. No gas first or anything like that. So yeah, just like you say, very standard stuff. Looks like Frequency now going to drop his gas, and SeleCT also dropping his gas. So yeah, I'm curious if we'll see maybe another, like this game, maybe we'll play a very similar to Game 1 with SeleCT and OpTiKzErO going for that blink and medevac combination, whereas their opponents maybe will go for... Well, it's hard to fast expand on this map, so I don't think we'll see that. I think it was a 1-gate expand he might have done, actually. And then I'm curious, too, if we'll see that faster factory with Blue Flame.
Yeah, the Blue Flame, not so good against, the armies, the huge Stalker, Marauder compositions, things like that, but definitely useful trying to get into the SCV lines if you try to drop those and so on. And you know what? Even against Zerg opponents, we haven't seen a lot of Blue Flame Hellions really shine too much in this tournament. And we are seeing a proxy barracks, kind of an unusual timing for this, and a reactor on the barracks in his main from Frequency. What do you think this is all about?
I'm going to go ahead and predict that we'll see a 4-gate out of our blue Protoss player, and I think he's going to just kind of go for a somewhat standard 2-Rex, the kind of 2-Rex you've seen at TVP. He's getting the reactor on his first barracks. I think he'll get a tech lab on this second one, just have the Marauders that much closer, and then they'll just kind of go for basically a big push.
And SeleCT's barracks matching that reactor with his own reactor, and their barracks timings are almost identical here, with Frequencies just being in the middle of the map. OpTiKzErO, meanwhile, with his second gateway, and here comes 2 gateways from Obsidian. Are we going to see a third? Yes, we are. You're exactly right. He's going for that 4 gates. With that proxy and the tech lab. You are on top of things out of EC.
Thank you, sir. And OpTiKzErO actually dropping the Twilight Council and then canceling it. Oh, they spotted the barracks. So I think OpTiKzErO is now just going to go ahead and make his 4 gateways, and we're just kind of going to see a bust against a bust, and this should be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. SeleCT now making a bunker, and if this bunker finishes, it's going to be very difficult to bust up this ramp.
Yeah, they really want to pick up that SCV. FXO Frequency poking up, not quite seeing the bunker. Now they're seeing the bunker, throwing down 2 proxy pylons. And here we are, that Marauder has come out of that tech lab. We are seeing concussive shells from both players as well as warp gates. Of course, OpTiKzEro's warp gates a little bit slower because he did want to get that Twilight Council. Ended up canceling it. And they're actually doing a great job of picking up a couple of units that might have overextended.
Yeah, this should be really interesting, and now there's a big warp in from our blue Protoss that might be enough to push them back. Very interesting. Keep in mind, SCVs can actually repair Stalkers, so that could possibly come into play here, but for now I think they'll focus on just keeping that bunker up, and they just kind of got to buy time until OpTiKzEro's warp gate is done, and how are they going to actually bust through this bunker? I don't know, but there's actually a factory also getting proxied over here, so they might just go ahead and just try and contain, and then just make some tanks, and then just try and slow push up with that. This is getting interesting here.
Yeah, it was a great move by SeleCT to throw down that bunker. That really stopped any kind of progression that Frequency and Obsidian could make. 3 Zealots, they want to tank the blast from the bunker, but no Guardian shields at all. That would be huge in this situation. The SCVs aren't able to repair the bunker in time, but they just have so many units. I don't think, even with that bunker going down, that the Team FXO is going to be able to break this. And it looks like they are kind of bouncing back and forth. OpTiKzErO with that pylon at their choke, warping in a couple more stalkers, so they're looking okay at this point. Although, you know, if you check out the Harvesters, they still are slightly behind, despite defending this this push for the time being.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried here. It looks like actually, yeah, he will actually be swapping. That's a pretty sick swap right there. You proxy Marauder and then use that tech lab for the factory and get siege mode. But you know, that push up there, they spent a lot of units there, and if they lose the position, that factory is just so exposed.
Yeah, and this is just kind of an all-in. I mean, neither players can really expand right now for obvious reasons. And if SeleCT and OpTiKzErO are able to even just force the enemies to retreat, they know exactly where these proxy buildings are. They're going to move right on out there, destroy the add-ons, and maybe even the buildings if they are able to get there before Frequency is able to lift off and get the heck out of there. But I don't see any holding back here. We got the tank out, we got the siege mode, and he's just continuing to rally tanks, so they're just going to shell away and wait for OpTiKzErO and SeleCT to make a move.
OpTiKzErO does have blink, though. He might be able to poke in here and just blink back everything. If he can get the tank, it's going to be massive. As it is, he's just doing a great job wearing down these bio. But as that tank sieges up, going to be a lot harder, and it looks like SeleCT and OpTiKzErO are just saying, okay, we can't let you get a lot of tanks. We are going for a huge blink. We're going to focus that tank down. We do have a Guardian Shield now coming out for Team FXO. And this is just a huge cluster of units, and I have no idea who's coming down on top here. It looks like FXO is actually going to push and hold their position.
They do, but that bunker is still there. FXO did a lot of damage there. They lost a lot of units. The units lost tab is pretty close. It looks like our FXO team might be slightly ahead in that regard, but if you check out the Harvester, it's still pretty even. This game is almost dead even, man. I don't know what's going to happen here. We don't see any expansions. Maybe FXO wants to set up just a contain like they're doing now, and then just expand out of it. It's hard to tell. Just get a critical mass of tanks. There's a lot of things you can do right now, and actually a starport coming up for Frequency.
Is that proxied? Did he proxy that? No, it's actually in his main. It's actually be hot beside the reactor, though, so he might swap that over and start up with some dual medevac production, which, of course, is going to be very good. But as it is, using this barracks to spot here, get vision of the high ground is just beautiful. And they have really done a great job, just a great strategy, man. I'm really digging this, you know, proxy Marauder and then use the tech lab for tanks. It's just awesome, and SeleCT and OpTiKzErO are kind of running out of options. As these bunkers get taken out, it's going to be very difficult, but keep in mind, the Team FXO doesn't have stim on their bio, and obviously no medevac, so it's going to be a bit weaker. SeleCT's bio, of course, does have combat shields as well as stim, whereas none of those upgrades, but the tanks are just inching forward here.
Yeah, FXO has to be very careful about the way they push up with these tanks. There's no doubt that Team Subzone is looking for an opportunity to push in when those tanks aren't sieged, maybe try to blink those stalkers back and just go all out for it. He does have, how many sentries? He's got 3 sentries, so they've got that going for him. Maybe a couple nicely placed force fields might turn the tide, but they are feeling the pressure right now. Even a solo stalker shooting away at that 4 command center.
And he's actually got a couple now in range of the SCV's mining gas, and he's just going to keep pushing forward, and SeleCT and OpTiKzErO can't wait much longer. I think they're going to, grabbing the SCVs and going for it, and it looks like from behind, the stalkers are coming in, trying to pull everything back, and here we go with the big bust, some force fields coming down, and I just don't know, but all of the tanks getting taken out pretty quickly.
Yeah, those stalkers from OpTiKzErO are just a little bit too late. He fought alone, SeleCT fought alone without the help of those stalkers. There's about 6 of them. There's actually about 7 of them still, and I don't like that decision. I feel like if they wanted to go for it, they had to go all together. They couldn't try those tricky blink stalkers from behind, and as a result, we're seeing this command center being taken out. Frequencies even taking an expansion, and it's not looking good at all. I don't know what OpTiKzErO is going to be able to do against this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said after that Game 1, Korean domination, and one of the favorites of the tournament here, Team Substance, you know, our previous second-place finishers from PTSL Season 1, is actually looking like they're going to be knocked down to the lower bracket.
Some nice blink micro from Obsidian. It's definitely going to be enough, even without the blink, and there's the GG from OpTiKzErO. So, Team FXO, the Korean team, does take the series 2-1, knocking Team Subsun into the losers bracket.